Welcome back to Campanelli Stadium, top of the third here, and we are joined in the booth a very special guest. It's Boston College head coach Mike Gambino. Mike, thanks for taking the time to come on with us.
Donnie, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, the first thing I want to talk to you about here, the first season that you started coaching Boston College was in 2010. Futures League in 2011 started as a league. What was the start of the connection between Boston College and the Futures League, and how has that transitioned through the last 10 years?
Yeah, I've always loved the idea and the mission of the league, where it's, first and foremost, it's obviously about development for college baseball players and summer development for college baseball players, but just the idea of really focusing on New England kids, and part of having played college baseball in New England and living here now, like anything that we can do to help and support baseball in New England and college baseball in New England, I'm all in on. And
that ball grounded by Chad Shade. He's going to look to beat it out, but a good play by the 2019 FCBL Defensive Player of the Year, Buddy Duane. And, not just in this shortened season, but in the past couple years, the FCBL has really been a hot spot for Boston College players. So why the Futures League specifically? Have you guys had such a good relationship with some of the teams here?
Well, yeah, you mentioned even back then, the first big leaguer out of the Futures League was Chris Shaw, who played for us, and Chris was here, and I think the summer of 10 or 11, whatever that summer was, and but we recruit so heavily in New England, so the ability for these guys to play locally, play with some kids they've played with and against in high school, and some of them live at home, and then like I said, people around the country don't always realize how good baseball is in New England at all levels, right? And you look at in Division II baseball, what Scotty Lewis has done, and up at Southern New Hampshire, and Matt Noon at Babson, being in the World Series the last couple of years. What UMass Boston has done with Brendan Eigerbrot and Eric Podbowski at Wheaton. There's great baseball in New England all the way through. So to have our guys up here competing against top New England talent is exciting.
Trevor Johnson steps in, another Massachusetts native. He's at Dartmouth College. And, we've talked to a lot of coaches over this past season, and some have kind of went with the approach of, especially with starting pitching, to let it rip because they didn't have a season, where other coaches have kind of been conservative with their pitchers. Where have you been on that approach, and how difficult is it to kind of, tell coaches an inning limit or just kind of, hey, throw them as many innings as possible?
Yeah, it's something you got to manage, and it's funny. We talked to a lot of medical people, our trainers, our strength coaches, and about coming off this quarantine. My initial reaction was, hey, they're coming off quarantine, they're rested, and they can get going. But the more people you talk to, you realize that there had to be a really, really slow ramp up. And we were adamant about that. And you saw it in the big leagues. I mean, the big leagues, the way those guys brought those through summer camp slowly and limited pitchers innings slowly. So, you never like to have to try to talk about limiting innings or limiting games. We have, when guys are able to play. But at the same time, even for us, our decisions first and foremost are always made on the health and safety of our players in normal times, much less COVID times. So to ask these summer ball coaches, and most of them, they were great about it. They get it. They understand it. These guys are all out here to help these kids grow and develop. So that's been awesome.
Johnson strikes out on the breaking ball right there. Another good pitch by Sinicola. Now, one thing that's interesting about the Futures League specifically is they allow the high school graduates to come in and play, with that college competition. How important is it for you to get your newest recruits in against, college level competition?
It's been huge. We've had a lot of our incoming freshmen playing in this league over the past couple years, and it's allowed the guys to sort of ease their way into college baseball a little bit, and to try to get them ready for college as much as they can. And there's value in both, whether it's Sal Frelick, when a couple years ago was able to come in and have a great summer, but even somebody like Mason Pelio, as a freshman All-American, and Mason's going to be he's one of the top 30 prospects in the 21 draft along with Sal and Cody Morissette. But Mason scuffled a bit the summer coming into BC, which was hugely important for his growth and development, and not because of anything other than he just sort of needed to make that next step. So, some guys can come in and have immediate success and get their feet underneath them, and some guys can scuffle and then take a step back and get going. And so it's equally valuable on both sides.
You mentioned guys like Frelick and Morissette. How important is it? I know you mentioned earlier, seeing local guys succeed, but specifically in Massachusetts, with the area, how important is it to see these guys kind of succeed and thrive at the next level?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's fun. I mean, we all up here know it. There's really good baseball. The Northeast and New England, starting from the top, starting with the Red Sox, right? Red Sox Nation. This is baseball country up here, and we love it all the way through from the Red Sox all the way down to Little League.
And that was Coach Mike Gambino.